You're not gonna get hired for that.
I know.
That's
the problem.
What do you want to talk about? I wrote down a bunch of shit here.
Good. I'm glad you're prepared because I am not.
Great.
I hate today's college basketball card. So I just took the day off. I had a couple margaritas at lunch with my girlfriend, Alex. And now we're here. I got to do this show and one more. And maybe I'll go have a couple more margaritas afterwards.
That's kind of the remote work life is you just, because I noticed our producer, John Hoagland, he sent me a picture of he's on the golf course with a beer. This was at like 11 a.m. today. Today's Thursday.
Yeah. Unacceptable. That's what I wrote back. Yeah. I was like, excuse me, we have a show to do in 4 hours.
Well, because I wanted to talk to him about it. It looks like the Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams.
Yeah. And it looks like the Falcons are going to get Justin Fields.
So I was talking to my brother, Peter. He's at the combine right now. And I was telling him, maybe I'll be a Bears.
Why is he at the combine?
He works the combine every year.
Oh, okay.
He's a big muckety muck, He's big time.
Yeah, but I just the combine is just not one of those sporting things that I've ever felt like, man, I want to go to the combine.
I think they get good access to team officials, coaches at the combine because they're all there. Plus, he loves He says Indianapolis is awesome. I don't know.
Okay. I've been there once.
I've been there. I went to the 2010 Final Four.
I don't know, man. The NBA All-Star media crew sure acted like Indianapolis wasn't all that great.
So I was thinking about, I didn't watch the NBA All-Star game. I was thinking about.
I'm talking about the losers on social media tweeting about how much they hated it because it was cold.
Well, thinking about being a Bears fan because Caleb Williams, he's a Gonzaga man like myself. And
why would you want to be part of the most insufferable fan base on the planet?
I didn't say anything about being an Eagles fan. I said Bears fan. What is the worst fan base in the NFL? Eagles?
It might be the Eagles now. I think they do bring out the worst of people. I went to 2 Eagles games this year, neither at Lincoln Financial, both at Raymond James in Tampa. And I do feel like they bring out the worst of people, but I do feel like they have fully embraced the Philly scumbag role. Like they know who they are. So what's it matter, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got like other fan bases that I would say are, just fair weather-ish. And I would say that's Tampa, right? Like when they got Tom Brady, everybody went out and bought season tickets, and now you go to games and they're not near as full. Baker Mayfield got people a little excited there towards the end of the season. But, the Dolphins Stadium is almost always half opposing fan bases.
True.
LA, no matter which LA team, Rams, Chargers, always half
the
of the other team.
The Raiders games are like that.
Yeah.
And the Raiders have great fans, but so many people
have pretty good fans.
So many people use it as an excuse to come to Vegas that it's like half fans of the other team. I'll say this, Eagles fans are very loyal. You know that when I was growing up, we had Redskins season tickets, and you could go.
Yeah, you're not very loyal to the Redskins. It's kind of sad.
The Redskins? No, I'm not loyal to the Redskins.
They were your team growing up as a kid.
Screw the Redskins. So they had, when they would play the Eagles or the Giants, regardless of the team's record, the place would be filled with Eagles or Giants fans. Didn't matter if they were good or bad. When they would play Dallas, you could take one look around the stadium and you could have a pretty good idea what the Cowboys' record was. I'm just telling you that. Eagles and Giants fans, they were there no matter what. But anyways, I think I'm going to be a Bears fan because Caleb Williams is a Gonzaga guy, man.
I don't know. I just feel like there's so many better fan bases out there. Like, I think being like a cheesehead is pretty fun. Going to Green Bay is a great experience. Really enjoy that.
That's really going in the opposite direction of the Bears. Aren't they arch rivals?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just so much better. I mean, I've only been to one Minnesota game. It's pretty fun with the Viking guy, and they bang on the drum.
Fans. They have good fans.
I've never been to Seattle, so I don't know.
Well, I don't want Seattle. They pump in the artificial noise there.
Yeah, so does Kansas City. They all do. So does KU. I mean, that's just the thing that they do.
Did you watch the UFC on Saturday night?
I went to bed.
So
and then I woke up and I saw your text at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, I had no. I was at the arena, so I had like no reception in there. But
That's about right.
We mentioned Brian Ortega on the show last.
Good
week.
job.
So Ortega, you didn't watch the fight. He
No.
got his ass kicked in the first round. I'm surprised that he survived the first round. And he was like 6-1 on the live line after round 1.
See, I'm glad I didn't watch. I'd have
Now-
been sending you very not nice text messages that you would not have got until you left.
I wouldn't have gotten him anyway. Yeah. So round 2, he totally turns the fight around. He knocks him down. He almost finishes him in the second round. And then by the time in between the second and third rounds, he's now favored on the live line. After being 6-1 after the first round, third round starts. He takes Yair Rodriguez to the ground, and he submits him in the first minute of the third round. Big win for us. The main event was Brandon Moreno, the assassin baby. And it was a really close 5-round fight.
What a nickname. Where do you get a nickname like the assassin baby?
The kid's nickname. So
From who? That's what I mean. Like, I have some nicknames that like it just kind of came like naturally, but like, where on earth do you get the nickname Baby Assassin?
he's got kind of a baby face. Maybe that's what it is. So
Okay.
here's what surprised me, though, because he had a really close fight, 5-round fight. I actually thought he lost. The judges gave it to the other guy. But what surprises me about that is Moreno is the star in Mexico. They're having the event in Mexico to feature him, the first ever Mexican champion. I thought the judges would give it to him. You know?
It's interesting you say that. Did you get a chance to listen to the Billy Walters, Joe Rogan podcast yet?
No.
So Rogan's talked about it not only with Billy Walters, but he's obviously said it vocally many times before. So obviously they're talking about sports gambling. And he asked him like, hey, how much boxing or UFC do you do? And Billy said, not really that much. And Joe's like, I think that's got to be one of the tougher sports to handicap if it goes to decision, because you have 3 people who get to decide your fate, whether what your eye test saw versus the guy next to you versus the 3 people on the panel versus what the referee sees.
Yeah.
And most of them are not former fighters. Most of them are probably not even athletic. And Joe kind of went on this like down this rabbit hole about how that is. And that reminded me we had a fight like that one time that I think you gave us on the show that ended that way. And I was like, oh my God. So I agree with you. If you just asked me, not watching the fight, this went to decision, who do you think won? Of course you think it'd be the hometown guy.
And it was close. It was a close fight. Yeah, you got to remember, though, when you're betting on these fights, sometimes, I mean, you get upset in the moment, but you're going to get screwed sometimes, probably have the right side, and the judges take it away from you. Sometimes the judges have given me fights that I thought I probably lost. So to me,
here's the problem. It's the same thing with any other sport. I don't remember those pick sixes that went my way. I don't remember those missed free throws that went my way. I remember the times I got absolutely fucked by
my buddy that
on Saturday missed their free throws and went to overtime. And of course, what happens when dogs go to overtime? They die.
My friend that I used to sweat bets with in college at West Virginia together, he would, if one of our guys missed a free throw, he would take it so personally. He was living and dying every free throw. Like,
was he betting too much money? Because that's usually
we were betting. No, we didn't even have any money back then. And if it's actually really funny now. If the other team had a free throw that like hit the rim and then went in, he'd be like, "Oh fuck, that should have been our miss. That was our miss." And I'm like, "Dude, just take it easy. It's 1 point." Like, yeah, really funny. So
what's that guy doing now? What does he have, like some bullshit corporate job?
No, he's like super rich now. You know, like hanging out at the country club every day. Yeah, I know. So
like you and Ellie, just hang out at the country club all day. What the fuck's the difference?
Sometimes. Raul Rojas was the guy, another Mexican fighter they were trying to feature on the card. He made weight. He's warming up backstage. Right, like an hour before he's supposed to fight, he decides that he's sick. He can't fight. So the the UFC announces they're going to move his fight to March 2nd, which is this Saturday, check your house rules always. We have a rule, if they fight within 8 days, it's still action. So it would have still been action. That's why we didn't refund it that night, because our rule said 8 days for action. And then they ended up canceling the fight altogether. So now we have refunded it. But it's still an important lesson, though. You want to know the rules. I've never seen that. I've never seen a fight where it was like, okay, the fight's in an hour. I can't go. Let's move it.
I mean,
I've never seen that.
Everybody I know has been sick since we got back from Vegas. Everybody. Literally everybody I know, everybody I talk to looks and sounds like death and or is on their deathbed, and I haven't heard from them for 3 days. I also don't understand how you get sick an hour before.
2 weeks ago. You got back like 2 weeks ago.
I know.
Still sick?
Listen, I don't get sick. I have tiger blood. But some people can't handle Vegas, and some people don't have just rock star immune systems.
Ultimately, one of my biggest takeaways from the experience, the arena down there. So a friend that I was with said they built the arena to lure an NBA franchise to Mexico City. It's awesome. It's an awesome arena. Mexico City is really cool. Too many Americans. Can I say it? I mean, can you say that? Is that offensive?
How do you know they're Americans?
Maybe
they're Canadians. Maybe they're
too many Americans. It's expensive, man. We stayed in the Polanco neighborhood of Mexico City. The UFC was staying at the Intercontinental Hotel down there.
Yeah.
And it was really expensive. Mexico City's expensive.
I'm sure it was.
Mexico City is expensive.
It's like New York City of Mexico. Of course it is.
Don't have anything this weekend on the UFC yet. There's an event at the Apex. Next Saturday, March 9th, is UFC 299 in Miami. You going to that?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm going to take my niece to some unicorn festival for her birthday.
Oh, that's okay. My birthday, my birthday is the next day, March 10th.
Yes, and so is my sister Nevada's.
Yeah, true.
And happy birthday to you guys. I'll probably forget.
How come you weren't named after a state?
It is a long story. From what I understand, they tried, and there was some arguments. Because, like in the 80s, actually, it's funny. My mom dropped off a bunch of like photos, and I I'm going to grab it. This is how ridiculous this looks. And I want you to tell me if you can guess what this is.
I don't know. Is this part of the show? I mean,
this is now part of the show. What do you think this is?
It looks like a sonogram.
Yeah, from the 80s.
Wow.
Isn't that weird looking?
That's
so anyway,
your sonogram?
Apparently, I always thought I was adopted, but apparently this proves that
why do you think you're adopted?
Because I've never seen a picture of my mother pregnant ever. When I was like 10, I was convinced I was adopted. I was like, my mom, she had zero pictures of her pregnant. Zero. Anyway,
this is back before people had phones that they took pictures with.
My mom, if you saw, my mom brought over a box that's probably 2 foot by 1 foot, full of pictures. And it's like, here, go through these, give some to your dad, give some to your sister, do whatever you want with them. And I'm like, okay. So over the next couple of weeks, I go through them. Still, so she had all of those pictures of horses and dogs and kids and my dad and other family members. Yet there's not a single picture of her pregnant on the face of this earth. She has negatives from like when her brother was running track at K-State and was like, oh, I should go get these, like holding them up to like the window so you can see them. I mean, it's just funny that she then had no pictures of herself.
I feel like there's a big thing with you. Pictures of pregnant women while they're pregnant. Remember, you once ruined a meal I had in Las Vegas talking about how there was no pregnant pictures of another person.
If you're pregnant, there's pictures. If you are actually physically pregnant, there are pictures. And apparently in the 80s, my mom did not. But also she didn't find out if I was going to be a boy or a girl because it was the 80s and it was just like not really a thing really then. Or it was like a new technology. And she's like, And I guess they weren't that great at really guessing anyway. They're like, So she was like, I won't find out. So my dad wanted to name me Montana.
Hold on a second. My parents knew I was going to be a boy.
Okay. You guys were rich. You have to remember, I was born in Wamego, Kansas.
We were rich. They
I
knew.
bet my parents probably didn't even have health insurance.
They knew.
I'd have to ask.
I
No, my
remember
mom
when
worked at
my
K-State.
mom.
She probably had health insurance. I take that back.
I remember when my mom told me that I was having a brother, Petey. Yeah, they knew. All right, go ahead. Go with your
She told me that it was just like, we didn't find out, whatever. Okay. So he wanted to name me Montana. She wanted to name me Virginia.
Oh.
Kill me now.
What's wrong
And I
with
guess
that?
there was some
Virginia, like Virginia.
if my name was Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia. What's wrong with that?
What am I, an 87-year-old woman? It's like naming a baby Gary. Those things just don't, they just don't happen. Like, how does it happen? You look at this baby, you're like, this looks like a Gary. I don't get it. There are some really funny names that do not correlate with babies. And Virginia is one of them because it is like an 80-year-old woman. That's whose name Virginia. So anyway, I guess then my grandmother.
Wasn't Virginia Bennett the girl in Happy Gilmore?
Okay, so anyway, my grandmother was like, her name's Kelly. And that was the end. That was the end of the debate. And that's why I'm not named after a state.
Your grandmother named you. Sorry.
Yes.
All right.
I got stuck with a boy name, and we all wonder why I'm just a complete and utter tomboy monster.
I know a number of girls named Kelly, although I do have a coworker named Kelly who's male.
See?
So that's fair. Let's get back on track.
You were the one that went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that was totally my fault. That was completely. Why
are you named after a state? Well, in fact, there's a story for that, John Murray.
I should know better than to ask you an open-ended question. That really was my bad. Do you want to do? I got 3 things to talk about.
Okay.
College basketball.
Yes.
You're upset about college basketball?
No.
Let's do this one.
Why would I be upset about college basketball?
I thought you just said you didn't like any games tonight.
No, I just didn't play any games tonight. It was just the first night, and I played a game since Saturday. Then tonight, I just didn't love the card.
Let's do this one instead. This is more interesting. You know Chase Michelson? He's a coworker of mine.
Yes, when I asked him to put up the Heisman odds when I was there so I could get Avery at 60-1, then I had to bet it somewhere else and got 50-1. Now he's 20-1. So
Chase great. Chase great. He put this up.
Chase and I have a side bet. Don't forget, you were there.
I know.
You are going to remind him of that when I cash that bet.
I know what the bet is. Unfortunately,
do you remember? Because it was after several Jameson shots. I don't know. I just want to make sure you remember.
I know what the bet is. I can't say which side of it I'm on. I do know.
You're not on a side. You don't need to be on a side.
No.
The bet is between Chase and I.
On it in the sense of what I think is going to win.
Oh.
I know.
I know what's going to win.
I do not have a piece of the bet.
Listen, I don't make bets with people like that unless I think that I'm going to win.
People like what? People like Chase? He's a good kid.
Yeah.
All right. So Chase put this up. Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck were the co-favorites at 9-1. Is Carson Beck good? Like, I know he's the Georgia quarterback. Is he good? I don't know. No.
Good question.
So we took.
Isn't he like 24? How old is that kid?
I don't know. We took $4,000 on both of those two guys at 9-1.
Sorry, he's 22.
That's pretty young. We lowered those two guys to 8-1. Jalen Milroe, Alabama quarterback. We opened him 14-1. Had a guy bet it for $2,000. We lowered him to 12. So is that your quarterback? Is the Ohio State quarterback now?
Yes, Will Howard.
Will Howard is 14-1. That I don't mind that actually because Ohio State's going to be loaded this season.
They are going to be loaded, but here's the thing with Will.
Transfer portal.
I don't hate the fact that Will left Kansas State. He knew that Avery Johnson was gonna be the starter, right? Like I think they kind of knew that, especially after last year with Will having some injury problems. Going to Ohio State, I thought was really interesting. He went to USC, and I was like, okay, Lincoln Riley, quarterback you. Let's see how this plays out. Mm-hmm. I will say this. Ohio State fans, we were talking about NFL fans. Ohio State fans are ruthless.
That's an insufferable fan base.
And I am very concerned about Will's mental well-being being a Buckeye. Does he have ice in his veins? Maybe he does. If he doesn't, I haven't really seen it. And that is the truth. And you got to have ice in your veins if you're going to play for the Buckeye.
Ohio State is loaded this season.
I know.
And I I actually hope that I'm wrong about this, but I think Michigan is going to really regret what they did promoting the offensive coordinator. Like I read about how I read like, oh, they're going to promote the offensive coordinator for consistency's sake, but then like the whole staff went to the Chargers with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
You're Michigan. You're the national champions. You can get anyone you want.
And that is the whole point. And that is where I'm at and why I threw such a fit about when Colin Klein, who I was happy to see go, and everybody's like, you're crazy. You're not going to get better. And now we have Matt Wells. And I'm pretty happy.
Kansas State is not Michigan. The biggest
I don't care. It's Michigan to me. You don't hire from within. You go out and you get a better replacement than you had when you are a team named Michigan.
I think Michigan is going to regret that decision, but in the immediate future, it could be very good for Ohio State. I think Ryan Day is low energy. I don't like.
Of course
Ryan,
he is.
But Ohio State looks really good.
So who else is Ohio State going to go get as a head coach right now?
They're Ohio State. What do you mean?
They're going to go get somebody else's offensive coordinator or somebody else's head coach. Who are they going to get that's better than Ryan Day?
Alabama got the Washington coach. That guy's a good coach.
Okay. So he's at Alabama.
No,
so if they fire Ryan Day, if they fire Ryan Day today?
I like who Michigan State hired. They hired the guy from Oregon State. That guy's a good coach.
Okay.
I don't know. Will Howard 14-1. Is this right? Did Chase make a mistake? Cam Rising is still playing college football? What is this, like his 15th season?
Okay, he actually may be 24.
Cam Rising 50-1. I like this guy, Jackson Arnold.
Okay, Cam Rising is actually 24, and he's about to be 25 in May.
Jackson Arnold 30-1. Avery Johnson 40-1. Shador Sanders 40-1.
A shop down the street is at 20-1. I thought that was really interesting on Avery Johnson. Like I said, I'm happy to have a 50-1 in pocket. I wanted 60. Thanks, Chase, for getting those numbers up.
No, Chase, it doesn't work like that. You can't just request numbers like that. Chase is a true pro.
I didn't request numbers. I requested them to be put on the board. I wanted to bet at the SuperBook.
No, you just said you wanted 60-1. You literally just said that.
Okay. When he is sitting across from me at the bar and he says, yeah, we'll probably put out Kansas State 60-1. I'm going, okay. I wanted to bet it at SuperBook. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I'm saying.
Here's another sharp bet I saw, or a sharp bet I saw that I thought was interesting. I'm going to pivot over to college basketball. I'm going to leave Chase alone. We're going to pivot to college hoops. Guy that we respect. This guy nailed us last year on Florida Atlantic to make the Final Four. Cleaned us out on that. He came in, he bet Duke at plus 750 to make the Final Four. We're at 6-1 now. So that was before the Duke kid almost got hurt. Yeah.
Flopowski. Yeah. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, he bravely did play last night, which was good to see.
Okay. We have to talk about this now. You brought it up. I wasn't going to bring it up. You brought it up. We have a ton of mailbag questions, and I have another show in 32
I got a meeting.
minutes.
I got a meeting in 32 minutes, dude.
Perfect. So, what we have to talk about this. They are so lame. What is wrong? The media, a couple of college basketball coaches. Let these kids storm the court. They just beat Duke. Yes, Wake Forest was a favorite. So, no, I kind of disagree with that a little bit. But I will say this. I never got to do it in college. I never got to. We weren't any good.
I was part of a court
part
storm.
Of the college experience. And
I was part of a court storm in high school. High school, our team beat, you might not remember these guys, but our team, I went to Gonzaga. We beat DeMatha. DeMatha had Keith Bogans, who ended up playing in Kentucky. He was the he was the number one high school player in the country. He played at Kentucky.
I don't remember.
And then do you remember Joe
I'm not as old as you, remember?
We graduated the same year. And Joe Forte, who played at North Carolina, he actually played in the Final Four. They were on the same high school team.
Interesting.
And we beat them and we stormed the court. High school storm court.
Okay. So are you for or against court storming?
I'm all for it. I can remember the Duke fans storming the football field after they beat Clemson on Labor Day.
It's awesome. Nobody needs to get hurt. And these basketball players, okay, for example, Bill Self uses this as an excuse, even though Jerome Tang's like, they're not storming the court, which is true. He gave them one, beating KU, and I think that's fair. You need to act like you've been there before. But if it is like a tremendous upset and that team, probably Duke, beats Wake Forest's ass year after year after year after year, and you get the win, it's awesome. Get the players off the court. Let the kids have fun. These low energy losers don't like to have any fun. They forget what it's like to be a college kid.
Yeah.
You know how you get these home court advantages and atmospheres? It ain't the old people sitting in the chair backs. It's the rowdy college kids.
Actually, in Morgantown, it kind of is. Like in Morgantown, I felt like the rowdiest fans weren't the students. I felt like it was the townies that would come in there from like various pockets of the state. That's all I'm going to say about that. So
you could have a transient college population, which is so weird.
I was looking at first time I've done this season. I don't like looking at these things because I think they're stupid. But I looked at bracketology today. UConn. So they've got UConn in the East Regional in Boston, Houston in the, I guess it's the Midwest Regional in Dallas. So two potential pretty big home court advantages for those two. UConn 5-1, Houston 6-1, Purdue 6-1. Purdue probably will go through Indianapolis on their way to the Final Four, which I think is in Arizona this year. Arizona's 8-1.
Yeah, I'll be in Boston for the Final Four.
You're not coming to Vegas for the NCAA?
I'm going to Mexico, and that's going to be awesome. I'm going for my girlfriend Melania's birthday, and then I'm going to Boston. And then I'm hopefully going to be on my couch somewhere in between all those other games. K-State's probably going to be in the NIT. As you saw there, I think now listed as, I saw it earlier on X, first four out, which makes no sense.
Twitter, now X. Yeah.
Because Providence, who they beat on a neutral court, is above them. And Villanova, who they beat at home, is above them. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I don't think Georgetown's going to get a bid this year. But, you didn't.
No shit.
You didn't congratulate me. They beat DePaul on Saturday. What the hell?
Brett's alma mater that doesn't even have like a place to play basketball in the city of Chicago. You got to go like 40 miles south to go to their basketball arena. Yeah, congratulations.
I got to say, I love you, obviously. This sucks. Georgetown with a conference road win. I give you a dog in the UFC that wins, and I don't hear from you all day. That sucks. That sucks.
You were in Mexico living your best life. I was trying not to even blow up our group chat. I was sending it to other people instead.
Guy that I really respect came in here, what's today, Thursday? I guess it was yesterday. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday. All the days run together when you get old. He bet over 55.5 for the Oakland A's. Oakland
doesn't even know where they're playing.
I can't bet that.
Okay, but seriously, let's talk about it. Baseball starts in what, like a month?
It's like March 28th, I think, is opening day for most teams.
Oh my God. And they still don't have a place to play.
No, they're playing in Oakland this season, I think. Right? Yeah.
No. I saw something on like Front Office Sports that they were looking at Salt Lake City and a couple of other places. Maybe not. Maybe that's for next year.
I think that's as they build the ballpark, theoretically here in Las Vegas. They would need a place to play
for next year.
But Salt Lake City told them they'll only let them play there if they move there permanently.
Yeah, of course.
And then I'm going to let you can make fun of me for this. I noticed on X, it was Twitter. So, Elon Musk bought it. He fired like 80% of the employees and the thing still works pretty much exactly the same.
Weird.
Now it's called X. Anyways, I saw that there was a customer at one of the other sportsbooks in Nevada. I truly don't remember where, or I would give them credit. But this guy bet $80,000 to win $20,000 on the Dodgers to win the division. And I thought to myself, that seems like a pretty smart bet. I mean, how could that possibly not win? It's not like I don't want to lay $4, but Mike, I mean, how could you not win that bet?
That's a long time to lock up that amount of money.
Is it? I mean, just make $20,000 in 6 months. I don't know.
All right.
I'm not going to bet it, but the Dodgers, they won last year. There was a team in their division that made it to the World Series, and they won the division by 16 games. The year before, they won the division by 22 games. The year before that, they actually did not win the division. But the team now is much better with Ohtani. They brought in that stud pitcher from Japan. I don't see how that bet could possibly lose.
What's the no price on them to win the World Series?
I don't know that we have a no price.
I'd like to bet the no price.
Well, but now, okay, well, let's talk about that because I'm not saying they're going to win the World Series because anything can happen.
I didn't say you were. You said they're going to win their division.
No, but like in a 5-game series or a 7-game series, anything can happen. That division bet is over the course of 162 games. How could somebody finish with a better record than them over 162 games? I just don't see how.
I have a feeling this is going to get clipped and used against you in April. All right, should we do the mailbag?
April. You mean
we have 9 questions we have to get to.
My final thought on that: don't bet the Dodgers to win the division. Just do what I do: buy more Bitcoin. Go ahead, mailbag. Bitcoin went over 60,000. You didn't congratulate me on that either.
I don't want to talk to you about Bitcoin. At AC Sport _4 on X says, what are your thoughts on Ohio banning prop bets involving the performance of individual student athletes? Do you think we'll see other states moving in this direction?
I'm not a fan of it. I don't understand the states that ban, like my home state, Virginia. You can't bet on the Virginia teams.
It's so stupid.
Formerly here in Nevada, you couldn't bet on like UNLV. So
yeah, but that was in the 90s. You've been able to bet on UNLV since I've lived there.
I said formerly. Jay told me a story where UNLV, when they the national championship game, I think it was 1990. So the sports book just closed for the day because there's no betting on the game. If you don't offer the betting, the customers are still going to bet it. They're just going to go bet it at some unregulated, untapped book. So just offer the betting. That way you can monitor the betting. Next question.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you listen to the Rogan thing with Billy Walters, he literally talks about finding irregularities in the market, aka point shaving, aka referees doing nefarious things, stuff like that. He goes, and every single time there was something with the UFC, which is why Rogan brought up the UFC and with the trainer, and he goes, and guess who found it? Sports bettors found it.
Sure.
Of course. So why wouldn't you just offer it? Anyway.
I'm with you.
At _Turtle Sports on IG says, has anybody come in and made a wager on the Kentucky Derby that made John Murray curious, and why?
Do we ever pull questions from TikTok? Or
no. I don't even think we have a TikTok.
We don't have a TikTok.
I should probably make John Hoagland do a TikTok because he should be working harder, not playing golf.
Yeah, John's on the freaking golf course. Yeah, make a TikTok when you get back from golfing, John. Yeah, one time a guy, very, very respected player, and he came in and he, without using a player's card, pulled a scumbag move, bet $100 at a few different windows on a horse at 50 to 1, found out later by looking at surveillance. And I thought to myself, I bet you that horse will win the Kentucky Derby, which it did.
Oh, but nothing for this year's Kentucky Derby.
That's just for this season? We don't have Derby futures.
Yes, of course. They want to know about this year's Kentucky Derby.
We don't have, has anyone come in and made a wager on the Kentucky Derby? Well, he doesn't say this year. I guess he probably meant it. But no, we don't have, we'll have Derby futures up this month or next month.
Okay. Derby futures up. We will circle back on the Kentucky Derby.
Have you ever been to the Kentucky Derby?
I have not. It's on. So, see, we were talking about how the combine just, why do you want to go? Kentucky Derby, definitely on my to-do list.
You could go because you're rich. But I think if you're like a normie like me, it kind of sucks. There's too many people there. You get rich. It's good for rich people. It's not good for like working people like myself. Next question.
Noted. This is weird because I never read these prior, and we've brought it up several times now. But John Grulix 14 on Instagram says, would JM go on Joe Rogan's podcast if asked?
Maybe the lowest rated episode ever. Joe Rogan gets awesome guests.
Yeah, he does.
Of course I would. Yes. Because then Joe Rogan could talk UFC and maybe Bitcoin.
There you go. money.m1key on IG says, is collab the only, I guess never mind. That should say Caleb, whoever typed these.
Now, in fairness to Kelly, it is mistyped on the sheet. It says
Is he only
CALB. There's no E.
Clab? The first. Then I realized when it said quarterback, it meant Caleb. The only true first round quarterback.
At least you know what you did prove. You proved that we really don't look at these questions before.
I don't.
Neither do I. No, I don't.
You at least print them out. I just have them opened up in my email.
Well, yeah. Well, I print them out because I write my talking points on the other side. No, I don't think so. But I
yeah, but a lot of people are talking about Spencer Rattler.
What about James?
I think that's pretty funny.
What about there's going to be a few. I don't look. I'm terrible.
Did we just forget about Michael Penix Jr.
and Drake May? I'm terrible at this. I'll be honest with you.
And Bo Nix.
I thought it was crazy when the Browns took Baker Mayfield first. The quarterback I liked a lot that year was Sam Darnold, who went third to the Jets. I thought he was going to be really good. I thought Josh Rosen was going to be good.
You thought Josh Rosen was going to be good? That's funny now. Because I remember he sat out of the bowl game versus K-State. And I was like, who does this kid think he is?
And I thought Josh Allen was going to be a bust. And now I think
you thought Josh Allen was going to be a bust?
Yes, I
did you not watch him play? He's massive. And
now he's like the best player in the league. So I'm not the right guy to ask.
Oh, don't say that. You're going to piss off the Patrick Mahomes fan base.
Well, no.
Lenny B, 74.
Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Josh Allen is the best football player in the NFL. He can run and throw and incredible. Go ahead.
Okay. At Glenny B 74 on IG says Kirk Cousins, Nick Chubb, or Joe Burrow for comeback player of the year.
Isn't this award like so?
It wasn't this year. I can't believe they didn't give it to DeMar Hamlin.
I don't like this award.
I mean, the guy played like 4 snaps. I was like, oh, they're giving it to him.
So Nick Chubb got hurt on that Monday night against the Steelers, right? I'll go with I hate this award. I'll go with Burrow because people know who that is. Like what
they know who it is, do they? But this is the other thing. You also have to be good. You can't just come back.
Joe Burrow's pretty good.
Came back from injury. Joe Burrow's going to have a great year, in my opinion.
Yeah. What team is Cousins going to play for?
I don't know.
Is he still? He's not going to be with the Vikings, right?
Well, he's still with the Vikings, but
okay. I guess I figured they were going to move on. There's a lot of NFL talk.
Yeah. There's a lot of NFL talk for the offseason. All right. At Dan Rivera 228 on Instagram says, did you buy 2? Did you 2? Good grief. Who types like this? Did you 2 buy BTC last week? No, I did not.
I thought it said, and I read it just now.
I thought I was, did I buy 2 Bitcoin?
Buy 2 Bitcoin. Who could, and I was going to say,
that's how I read it too.
To buy 2 Bitcoin other than Kelly?
I need you guys to be better. You type like my 10-year-old niece when she texts me.
No, I did not. Last week.
At TGRA 1100 on Instagram says tournament time right around the corner. What are the best systems and trends to watch for? Ooh,
that's you. You're big on systems.
I am. 0-3 this week on our. No, I lied. We had Tennessee last night, so it is now 1-3 this week.
That was a good game. Tennessee Auburn was a good game.
It was a good game.
Chris Felica asked me to boost up Auburn to make the Final Four in the championship, and I probably went too aggressive with it because I was watching the game when I got home from work, and I was like, wow, these guys are pretty freaking good. So
oh boy,
yeah, Auburn, they look good. Tennessee's good. That was a good game.
Tennessee does look good.
When did the SEC get this good at basketball?
Kentucky? Well, they're still not. The Big 12 is still better, but we can sit here and debate it.
Yeah, the Big 12 is the best, but the SEC's having a really good season.
Here's a fun fact. I know we're not answering his question yet. I want you to look this, or you don't need to look it up because I already did. If I had to ask you which conference, which is a lot in college basketball, which conference has the best home court advantage, meaning that their teams, not loud, not anything, meaning their teams win and cover at a higher rate at home.
Is it the Big 12?
Well, I thought it was the Big 12.
Oh.
And the Big 12 is third behind the Big 10. Big 10 is second. You know, number 1 is Conference USA home teams.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't have gotten that.
No shit. I was shocked. 71.4% they are covering at home.
I'm going
winning and covering at home.
Tuesday. You know, this is Team Member Appreciation Week. Did you know that?
Oh.
So
are you being appreciated?
No, they don't appreciate me. But
you're supposed to appreciate your team members.
I got to appreciate the guys.
Okay.
So I've invited a bunch of them Tuesday night.
How'd you decide on who you're going to invite and not invite?
Only the ones I like. So if you don't get the invite.
So Chase is not going.
Oh, Chase is definitely. I love Chase. UNLV San Diego State Tuesday at Thompson Mack. Maybe get some Naked City before that game. And then I'm going to the Mountain West tournament with Sam Panayotovich, Timmy Murray in a couple weeks. Mountain West is having a good season. But give TGRA here your system.
No, I've just been betting. I've just been playing a lot of home teams. And that is because I feel like overall the rate at which the Power 5 conferences, which is what I traditionally bet on.
Hold on a second. He's asking for
March specific.
What is this home teams stuff? This is terrible.
What I'm saying is this year, I have been you didn't let me finish. It's a long answer. Shocker. I have been focusing on home teams. Yeah. They have been winning at a higher clip than usual and covering. Now I have to somehow make that make sense for neutral site games. You know, we always talk about like the weird ones, the 12-5, right? The 9-8 play-in games. Like there's certain conferences you want to, bet under so many wins. It used to be Mountain West. I don't think it is this year. I have nothing to answer this question with. And I'm going to have to work on that. So I will get back to you next week on what I'm going to do for this specific March.
What I'll definitely do, we do need to talk offline about when we're going to record the shows the week of the tournament, the first weekend and the second weekend. I would imagine probably Tuesday. But more importantly, our team puts out a lot of props on March Madness. We get a lot of sharp action on, Kelly mentioned the Mountain West, over-under wins by seeds, teams to advance farther. I'll have some really good stuff that week to share on the show. Love that.
All right, 2 more questions. Wise Guy Wager wants to know, first job you had in sports betting, the year, name of the company, position. Interested in hearing how it started for each of you. When did you decide that sports betting was going to be your career choice? Have a great show. Best wishes.
There's a lot of questions, right? I mean, what is it like?
John Murray's had the same job forever.
Blood type? No, my first job, I was a ticket writer in 2007 for the Hilton. Jay Cornegay hired me. Questionable hire. Hired in May of 2007.
What was your degree in college?
English, because I'm a good writer.
Oh,
I could just fake my way through all the papers. I didn't have to study for anything. Yeah.
An English major. Okay. So anyway, my first job was with Don Best. And that's when I started KellyInVegas.com. So kind of correlated there. Learned a lot from those guys. That would have been in 2013. And when did I decide that this was going to be my career? Well, I didn't for a long time, which is why you can find terrible things written all over the internet. And I was working at a nightclub and I was doing the Don Best thing. I was doing some other fun appearances. Then Brett and I started the proxy service. And then I went to ESPN in 2018 and I was waiting my turn after speaking to HR. I'm telling you how I got to the point where I was like, holy shit, this could be a career. And I'm sitting there waiting after the HR lady asked me if I had any pornography in videos of myself. By the way, that's going to come out again. Don't worry. We're going to circle back on that.
What's going to come out again?
You cannot ask people that in a fucking job interview, John Murray, and then fire them subsequently 3.5 years later. So anyway, that being said, I walk out. I'm waiting for my next person to interview with after I told her, no, none of the people that I've dated have any revenge porn on me. She said, hold on a second. I look up at the TV. And at that moment, the Supreme Court made their decision to get rid of the federal ban on sports gambling. And I was like, holy shit, this is really happening. This is really happening.
That was a long answer.
They're all long answers.
So the answer was Don Best. Okay, go to the next.
No, he asked a bunch of questions.
He did. That's kind of that's sort of your fault there, buddy.
He
All right.
asked 1, 2, 3,
Let's
4,
do the
4
last-
questions. Okay.
last
Vince
one.
and PGH on X says it's been gradually happening, but what's your opinion on UFC taking over Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Weekend from boxing, which is currently Canelo, and how does it affect business at the Superbook?
Did they
First
take
of
over
all,
Did they take over Cinco de Mayo?
I don't know.
Well,
Mexican Independence Weekend is one of my favorite weekends in Vegas. It is fucking bonkers.
Well, they're going to do, so they announced this officially over the weekend. UFC 306. It's going to be Mexican Independence Weekend at the Sphere.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Wow.
I wasn't aware of them taking over Cinco de Mayo. It's usually Canelo. Canelo usually fights on Cinco de Mayo. Used to be Mayweather. It'd be fine with me. I think UFC is better for betting handle than boxing because there's more fights. People are more familiar. Like in boxing, you always write a ton of money on the main event, but the rest of the card, no one knows who these people are. UFC, I mean, the big fight for us on Saturday was actually the co-main event, Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, and that's pretty common in the UFC. They have deeper cards with a lot of betting.
Yeah, there's just a lot more where I feel like boxing just is really drawn out, right?
Well,
like
you gotta
with
remember,
UFC, go ahead.
Dana White's a stable genius. Dana
Yes.
White, the UFC president, stable genius. So he's built this promotion up, and now you've got all these stars in all these different weight classes, and there's betting interest all up and down the card. So I think it's better for us if it's the UFC. I think that weekend, Mexican Independence Weekend, that'll be a football weekend in Vegas, college and pro football, and we'll have UFC 306 at the Sphere. That is going to be an awesome weekend.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I'm very jealous. I hope you have a great time at the Sphere. I will be here getting a suntan. Somebody said last week that I got too much sun, so I got even more sun this week just for them.
I'm going to try to get a ticket for D'Onofrio, but not for John Hoagland because he isn't even on the show. I'll work on getting one for you, Louie.
Shameful, 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 shameful. We'll see you guys next week. John Murray, bring some actionable info, please.
Bye.